Pancho Gonzales was the best tennis player not enough people saw. 60 years ago, Pancho Gonzales, with a serve as fiery as his temperament, won his second consecutive United States Championships title at Forest Hills. 40 years ago, at the age of 41, he survived a 5 hour and 12-minute 112 game 5 set duel at the second Wimbledon of the Open era. It prompted the introduction of the tiebreaker format. In between, he disappeared into what then was the almost invisible world of professional tennis. Pancho Gonzales is often forgotten now, but had the lofty lords of tennis opened the best tournaments to professionals long before 1968, Richard Alonso Gonzalez would be very much in the conversation with Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, Rod Laver, Don Budge, Bill Tilden, and several others whenever the debate about who the greatest tennis player of all time flares up on the internet. Despite all those years as the king of the professionals in big cities and small cities all over America, Pancho Gonzalez did not feel cheated, or at least he said he did not feel cheated. Pancho Gonzalez, who died in 1995, once said, "I'm just glad open tennis is here. It's great for the game, that's more important." Swarthy and scarred when the door handle of an automobile gashed his left cheek as he rode his homemade scooter, the oldest of 7 children born to working class Mexican immigrants in Los Angeles, Pancho Gonzalez was American tennis's first minority champion. Less than a decade after his wins at Forest Hills, Althea Gibson won at Wimbledon and Forest Hills. Nearly 20 years later, Arthur Ashe won the first United States Championships of the Open era. Pancho Gonzalez taught himself to play on the Exposition Park cement courts near the Los Angeles Coliseum with a 51-cent department store racket, a gift from his mother on his 12th birthday. For all of Gonzalez's talent at 15, the squire of California tennis, Perry T. Jones, barred him from a trip to the fashionable Eastern Junior tournaments for scholastic reasons. But a year later, Jones accepted him, and after a hitch in the Navy, at the age of 20, Pancho Gonzalez won the 1948 United States singles title as the number 8 seed. When Pancho Gonzalez lost to Budge Patty in the French Championships and to Australia's Jeff Brown in the third round at Wimbledon, he was branded as cheese champion by the tennis writer James A. Bouchard of the New York World Telegram. That inspired a comparison to the Italian cheese Gorgonzola and the Gorgo nickname that would accompany him throughout his career. But after he won the 1949 United States title in a 5 set final with Ted Schroeder, he signed a 75,000 American dollar contract with the promoter Bobby Riggs to challenge Jack Kramer on the Mano a Mano professional tennis tour. Jack Kramer won 96 matches to 27, dropping Gonzalez into oblivion in 1950. After struggling in round-robin matches in the early 1950s with Frank Sedgman and Pancho Segura, Gonzalez routed Tony Trabert 74-27 in their 1956 tour, then conquered Ken Rosewall in 1957 and Lew Hode in 1958 before retiring to a lavish club job in the Bahamas. But with professional tennis at a standstill, he returned in 1964, sweeping Mal Anderson, Rod Laver, Lew Hode, and Ken Rosewall in a 15,000 American dollar tournament at the Westchester County Center in White Plains. In 1966, Jack Kramer acknowledged that Pancho Gonzalez was the professional tour's most important player. Jack Kramer said, "He is more in demand now than when he was on top. He's sort of a hero and a villain both." Pancho Gonzalez was a hero to the few fans who attended the professional matches, and he was a villain to his rivals. He had feuded with Jack Kramer for paying him less than the players he was beating. Rather than traveling with the other professional tennis players, Pancho Gonzalez was a lone wolf, often driving through the night to the next city in his Thunderbird with its 350 horsepower Cadillac engine. When the Open era arrived in 1968 and allowed professional tennis players to compete for prize money in what traditionally had been open only to amateur tennis players, Gonzalez was 40 years old. At Wimbledon that year, he lost to Russia's Alexander Metreveli in the third round. At the US Open, he knocked off Australia's Tony Roche but lost to Tom Ocker, who lost to Arthur Ashe in the final. At 41, in the first round of the 1969 Wimbledon, he lost the first two sets to 25-year-old Charlie Pasarell by 24-22 and 6-1 before darkness halted play. The next day, he swept three sets 16-14, 6-3, 11-9 for a victory that summed up his career. Remember, he was 41 years old at that time. His career involved struggle, fury, comeback, and eventual appreciation. He soon retreated to being the teaching pro at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, where he met Andre Agassi's sister Rita, his sixth wife and the mother of his eighth child, Skylar. Early in 1995, Pancho Gonzales had chemotherapy and radiation for a tumor where his esophagus joined his stomach. 4 months later, Pancho Gonzales passed away. 14 years after his death at the US Open, he was honored, and many people who attended that event must have felt, on closing their eyes, Pancho Gonzales was visible, flicking perspiration off his forehead with his left forefinger as he crouched down to return serve. Pancho Gonzales was the best tennis player not enough people saw playing tennis.